Show. So how do you want to do this? Because like you're wanting to kind of use this on your end for Divine Comedy, and like I can use it on my end for Oki Show. You want to just merge?
Yeah, I don't. You want to just make a Divine Oki Show?
Welcome to the Divine Oki Show. I'll do. Well, do you have an intro? Because I have an intro.
I don't have an intro. No. Do you?
Yeah.
Oki Show.
Yeah. Mine is, hello, welcome to the podcast that explores the heartlands, entertainment industries. I'm Brian, and we're doing a little podcast crossover today. Now, this is the live stream. So it's kind of the podcast, kind of not. But today we're talking to Mr. CJ Lance of Divine Comedy right here on Facebook Live. Yay.
Yeah, and also Divine Comedy is using this too because I'm lazy and can't create content on my own.
Hey, man, we both have the learning curve. We're both figuring this out as we go. Like I said, I come from such a polished world of like, oh, no one's listening to this in real time. It's totally fine. What could go wrong? No one's gonna
listen to this anytime, I feel like. What was that?
So it sounds like my dogs just murdered each other.
Oh no.
Hey lady, everything okay? Everyone's alive. Okay. That's how I like to kick off a show. There was a turf war going on between the wiener dog and the basset hound. The wiener dog has been just beating the crap out of the basset hound. Like they have cabin fever bad.
At least it's a smaller dog. Our bigger dog constantly chews on, like just gnaws on, and humps our smaller dog. And he's older. The small dog's older too. And like, so it's like a 70-pound dog and a 45-pound dog. And so it's just so much extra weight on his poor little back. I feel so bad.
Is this what prison's like?
Yeah, he won't stop though. Like we hit him. And like water will make him stop, but
water. Yeah. That's a match made in heaven, man. I will say thank God that the wiener dog does not hump the basset hound, or vice versa. There are times, though, where the basset hound will get unruly. And, like, we used to have this big stuffed basset hound for the basset hound to play with and, like, lay on and snuggle. And he did more than that. He would do this thing where, like, I'm going to pretend I'm the basset hound. He would take the pillow, and he would do this. You'd see
Please don't hump. Don't air hump.
And then he'd look right at you and then go, and then he'd disappear around the corner, and then you would just hear an obscenity happening in the other room.
Growing up, my friend in high school, his dog knew the command to hump.
Oh, they had
and
a command.
It was a female dog too. They go, Ginger, hump. And then she'd just do it to whatever person or thing was around.
You know what? That's actually really smart, because if you have people that are visiting that you really don't like, it's a great way to get rid of them. It's actually kind of a perfect crime.
The perfect crime. I don't think it's a crime. Dog assault is, I guess, biting, but humping, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We've got a question from Jason Schwartz. What would that produce? A wiener dog and basset hound. Would it be a wiener hound? I don't know.
Or a basset dog. Ooh.
A basset dog. Well, what was it?
Like the same thing. They're both fat and like long and short.
Yeah.
It'd just be a weird version with big ears.
It would be a long, short obscenity.
Yeah.
Laney says it would be a wasset.
A wasset. Ooh.
A wasset.
the Wiener Wasset,
Yeah.
Wiener Hound.
Wiener Wasset. Sounds like a dog that Elmer Fudd should have. So, CJ, for those that are watching that have not met you, now you have done a lot of different things for Okie Show, but I don't think we've ever been like formally introduced to you and what all you do. So, who the heck are you?
Do we do that? Did everyone else get formal like introductions?
I'm gonna say yes because I'm that organized.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm really glad I found Okie Show. I've been doing stand-up comedy for like 5 years, 5.5 years now. Going on 5.5. And I'd say probably 2 to 3 years ago, I really started wanting to get into writing sketches and things like that. But I didn't have any training. I guess I would have the desire to go take a class to learn how to like properly format and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But also that's a really big time and money commitment and not quite what I would want to go do.
Yeah.
So I've thought since then about taking like a screenwriting class because I cannot seem to wrap my head around a full 110-page like feature-length script.
I can't either. Like it's the knowledge is there, but the practice is just like I'm way too ADD, which is why I tend to stick to writing sketches and stuff because like that's just a lot.
Yeah, I think writing movies would be really fun, but for some reason, like I've read books and like they break down like the structure and how to look at it and then make it. And then I try and go study films, and every time I start a movie, I'm like, okay, I'm going to notice where these beats are and how this is laid out. And then 45 minutes, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to do all of that. Like
I got sucked into the movie.
Yeah, I've been enjoying a movie or enjoying making fun of a movie if it's bad.
This second act is incredible.
Yeah, I can never name where the act breaks are. Like, whatever. Anyways, so
you and most of the rest of the world.
But I want to write them one day.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen. But anyways, I wanted to do sketches, and so I started dabbling in like how to format, how to write, doing things like that. But I didn't have anyone to produce. I didn't have anyone that was like really committed into doing that. I think I searched for over a year trying to find like a writing partner or some sort of group or whatever niche that would provide feedback and brainstorming and whatever else. Potentially production. At the time, I wasn't even worried about necessarily making them so much as learning how to write them.
Mm-hmm.
And then fortunately, I met you through comedy. Your dabblings in comedy.
Yeah.
And
I would see. The funny thing is, I'm like, I if only I had the time to do stand-up comedy. Well, now I have all the time in the world, and not gonna happen.
There's no one doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah, exactly. I might kill everyone.
Yeah. No. But it's interesting that like I don't know the comedy scene and the film scene in Oklahoma aren't super interwoven.
No.
And so it was kind of hard to break into that. And I still don't know that I've broken into it so much as I found a home in Okie Show. I don't know very many other people outside of our group and people that we worked with in the film industry. So those connections are still growing. But anyways, so yeah, you graciously were like, yeah, I do this thing and we make sketches and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'd love to write some, and you invited me to a pitch meeting, or I don't know if we were pitching at that point. It was before X-Men came out, XJV.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing like the final edit notes on that. And then maybe we pitched some stuff as well.
I think you came on. It was funny because I was talking to Lainey the other day, and she asked me like, where did you and CJ meet? And I was like,
I
don't know. He was just in my life at some point.
Poof. No, yeah. I think I remember, I think we'd seen each other around at some shows and mics and whatnot. But yeah. I distinctly remember meeting you at, what was that? Dog saloon, hot dog place or whatever.
Yes, that was weird because it started off as like a competition.
It was a contest put on by a traveling comedian whose whole shtick is that he puts on contests in cities so that he can make money.
Yeah, basically, and his claim was that the money would go to dogs or something like that, which
I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know him to be that big of a liar, but I don't know that all of that money went to dogs.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and it was really weird because like I went and I participated and I didn't make it to the next round, but then the guy texted me and was like, "Hey, do you want to host?" What? So I didn't make it to the next round, but you want me to just host the whole thing? Yes.
Honestly, I don't even know. I don't know if I even was in, because like he would always do, you could send a video in and $25, which that was the sketchy part. I'm like, why is anyone paying this man $25? Because then he would always run a show the first night for people to like come, and it was like tryouts basically to get in. Yeah. And then he would run the contest the next night or like whatever, maybe 2 nights away or something. And so if you went to the first show and made it, it was free. Like, you didn't have to do anything except show up. And no more than 10 people ever showed up to one of those things. They did it like 3 years in a row or something. And so it was kind of just like a waste of money if anyone gave $25.
Yeah.
Honestly, that year, I don't even know if I went to the first night. I think I might have been avoiding it, and he messaged me and was like, "Do you want to be in the finals?" Because he didn't have enough people in it.
I think that's basically what happened with me too. Is like he just needed somebody, and what was really funny, it was that like for the next round of people, everybody did their 5 or 10 minutes, and then he would headline. So I was hosting, which I'd never hosted anything before, and I was like, all right, drink specials, tip your bartenders, and here's the next guy. And
I got it.
And I forgot his name.
Oh yeah, that happened.
So do you remember that? I forgot his freaking name, and I was like, this is the guy that put on this whole thing. Welcome to the sketch.
I don't remember that. No.
Hosting.
Yeah, no, I've never forgotten someone's name to the point that like I just brought them up.
Good for you.
I have blanked on like my friends' names, and I have to give like another like, they're a really good friend of mine or what, super funny. Put your like just another hosting cliche in there. Yeah. Well, I think.
These clubs and colleges all over the nation.
But yeah, that's where I remember officially like talking to you, was at that, and then probably just around at mics and shows, and found out about Okie Show, and
I still blank on how exactly we got you into the writer's room, but I was really excited to actually have a season stand-up, because the rest of us have experience in filmmaking and screenwriting and that kind of thing, but stand-up is its own animal, and so I thought it was really, really useful to have you and your field experience to come in. And
field experience.
Yeah, field experience, man. Sounds so legit.
I think and whenever I texted you about doing this, I think I said we could talk about your field experience, and then in parentheses, if you can call mine like field experience.
Well, you do. You have way more than I do. That's for sure. Because like I've done a handful of shows and stuff, but like, dude, I haven't done anything in so long that I can't even remember. I'd have to like go through my notes and remember any of the jokes and stuff. But you've done a little bit of touring. You've done some shows in Boston. You've been all over the place.
I don't know if I say touring. That was honestly one of my goals this year. So I wanted to do comedy in 10 different cities besides Oklahoma City and like Norman, like in the metro. I made it to 2. And Tulsa's one of them.
And then the world exploded.
Yeah, so that goal is on hold, but I had some other goals with like writing sketches and making them, and those are still becoming possible because I have time now and whatnot. But
yeah, I've been enjoying your Facebook sketches of Dog Cop and your get together. I was so mad whenever you posted your video of you walking into a party and it's all you, because I had that exact same idea, and I was like, you know what, I could do that. You know, just make it like a practice for eye lines and stuff. And then you son of a gun, you dropped it. And I was like, dang it, he beat me to it.
How are my eye lines? It's a note you gave me once. Were they better? Could they be better?
They could be better, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's a video for Facebook. Like, you know, I think that's part of the like, if you do it too perfect and too polished and clean, I think that, like, people just kind of tune out for some reason. Because we've kind of noticed that through our sketches and stuff of like, if it looks too much like a movie, then that can actually work against us.
Yeah, I would say, especially if you're trying to do, I feel like a lot of times in sketch comedy, people want to, well, I mean, I want to do dumb things, like, you know, yell at my dog for being a bad police officer or whatever, like, you know, dumb stuff. And I've watched plenty of sketch shows that are, you know, put on Netflix or Comedy Central, and so they have these high dollar budgets, like they're super nice, like so well done. Hey,
Yeah. It's a basset hound.
Like they're so well done, but they're almost so good that you can't do stupid little funny things, you know? Like, yeah. I watched one where someone made a dog talk, and I was like, it's not funny anymore because you have a professional person who is like moving this dog's mouth and voicing it and whatnot. You know, like if you just got behind your dog right now or put your dog on camera and then we could tell your voice was coming from under your desk and you were talking for your dog, that would be funny. But if you start, you know, doing CGI and whatnot to actually make your dog talk, it takes away from that stupid, you know, rigged together look.
There's something about the lo-fi aspects of comedy that are lost when you like really overcomplicate it with high-end VFX and stuff. Which is why, like, I appreciate whenever we made X-Men, some of the visual effects are very basic. And you know what? That's okay. I like it.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's part of the joke is imperfections in it sometimes. I mean, it's a fine line, but I do think if you go too high tech, too deep in, then people start losing it or whatever. They don't follow it.
That's like one of my favorite gags is always whenever like somebody jumps off a building and then it cuts to an obvious mannequin falling or something like that. Like, that's just hilarious to me. Or it's like obviously a puppet hand like being stabbed or something. Hilarious.
It's necessary.
Yeah. So what got you into, let's talk about Divine Comedy real quick, because first of all, what is Divine Comedy?
Divine Comedy is a weekly showcase that I run. It's not an open mic. Every now and then people come up afterwards and be like, how do I get on this? I'm like, start doing comedy for a few months and I'll notice you or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a weekly showcase. Yeah. I mean, sort of, yeah. It's every Wednesday, 8 p.m. at the Speakeasy, which, by the way, we're trying to raise some money for the Speakeasy. Go to their Venmo. It's @thespeak. Give them some money. Leave a tip. Normally our show will be happening tonight at 8. So, but yeah, so it's a showcase. It's changed up over the years. It's been run. It was started by my buddy, Madison Allen. And then I jumped on board whenever he had a job where he couldn't make every Wednesday. So I was like a fill-in host, probably like 3 or 4 years ago now. And then he moved to New York, and now it's run by Josh Leahy and myself. Nice. We try to make it as legit as possible. It is, I mean, it's local comedians. We try to put as many people up as we can. But then also we do try and get touring people. We've had some people who've been on, late night shows. We've had 2 SNL writers, some people who've been on like Comedy Central, Roast Battle, things like that. So yeah, we try and get people that aren't locals either, or just, struggling, trying to figure it out comedians, with people that are like really kind of gotten somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, that's so cool. So whenever somebody, so you were saying, show that you have some experience, show that you have a decent set. First of all, how long are the sets? Are they like 10 minutes?
It varies. If someone's like really new, we'll give them 5 to 7, but typically they're 10. Sometimes we'll have a headliner who does like 20 to 30, depending on what they're comfortable with. But yeah, 10 minutes, like the average.
Nice. So how does somebody build a 10-minute set? Like if you're have no experience whatsoever in doing stand-up, how do you make it to that 10-minute set?
Well, so I think it varies a lot. I think I'll preface anything I say with this. I think there are useful tips for sure. Some things that are kind of like tried and true. Yeah, you should probably be doing this or not doing this. But comedy for the most part, is figuring out what works for you, what's authentic for you, which I'm still figuring out. 5 years in, trying to find like my voice, or that's, my stage presence. Because sometimes I'll slip into a mindset of, well, what would people think is funny, rather than what do I find funny and how do I relate that then to people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're gonna start a 10-minute set and you've never done comedy, the first thing to do is to start doing comedy.
What?
Almost guaranteed your first set will be bad. And even if it's not like bad, it won't be good comedy.
Right.
Even if people laugh a lot, it's mostly not going to be because you wrote such great material. It's because you're being a little open and honest, and it's my first time and I got a lot of friends here, and everyone's feeling that and encouraging that. So you have to start doing comedy and do it regularly, which is hard sometimes.
Just sucking.
Yeah, and so then you have to start writing as well. Writing is an important one. I wrote for like 6 months to a year probably before I ever got on a stage. I just kept a notebook and wrote down like things I thought were funny. Mostly because I was a little nervous. Do you write your jokes
word for word, or do you have premises that you go off of?
It depends. I used to write them more word for word. Now I kind of do a premise with like some punchlines or tags I think are funny, and then add from there. I will do this thing, a tip that I got from Twitter, from Gary Goldman, who's a fantastic comedian. He gives off tips all the time and whatnot. One thing he said was write down your jokes word for word. Kind of whenever you are working on perfecting them. So you've already got it written, but then write it down word for word. Leave a space in between, like a line in between each row, and then go back and cut out what isn't funny, add alternate words or things that you think might be funnier than what you have. Kind of edit that way and go back. But then again, I've also heard Nate Bargatze, who's a fantastic comedian, one of my favorites. He said he doesn't do his jokes word for word. He tells them a little bit differently each time because that's the way his brain works. So there's not like a specific way to do it. Just you have to start trying things so that you can find what works for you.
Yeah.
But
I still have no idea. For me, like I feel like I don't know. I feel like I do a lot of yelling.
Yeah, volume's definitely a thing to play around with. But yeah, so I guess going back to if you're trying to start comedy or whatever, build a 4-minute set first. start with that. Once you think you have the 4 or 5 minutes, then kind of relook at it again, revisit it, and think, okay, what's like, record yourself. Anytime you're doing comedy, record yourself, so you can go back and listen to it and find out, okay, what parts were laughed at most, what parts were not laughed at, what was I hoping to get out of this part, did it work, did it not, and then you can really critique it from there. But I think that's where the discipline comes in, which I'm not the best at in comedy. I hate the sound of my voice. I don't enjoy going back to listen to my sets or watch videos.
Yeah. You should host a podcast. It's great for that.
Yeah. No, it sounds odd. I hate it. I won't watch this.
I will say, like, it's actually really funny to me, like, since I work in the world of listening to people's voices constantly, I latch on to people's voices quite a bit. And I love your voice. Like, your actual talking voice is perfect to me, it's perfect for comedy, because, like, you just have a very, like, especially because we've shot a sketch where you get angry, and it's really funny because you have kind of a softer voice, but hearing that contrast of the tone of your voice with what you're saying is really funny.
Okay. I'm like I was saying earlier, I'm still figuring out, I guess, stage presence and things like that. And so that is a thing that I play around with some. I don't yell a lot in my comedy, but I think when I'm hanging out with friends or family or whatever, and I'm being funny, I go straight to yelling. Like, I find it hilarious in certain instances.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Fake anger is like one of the pinnacles of what I find funny.
Can we all be Lewis Black?
Oh, yeah. But no, so I'm still.
You got a funny yell too, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
So I think
you're really easy to laugh at.
Thank you. But you have to be careful, or like I have to be careful to not catch people off guard, because if I don't do it enough and then I try and just like shove it in somewhere, people are like, whoa, what's happening? Like, why is he suddenly doing this? Like,
yeah,
it's almost if you're watching a scary movie and there's an intense quiet scene, and then all of a sudden that big bang, it's startling rather than like, oh, I saw that, like, it's part of the thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
was he supposed to do that? Because I'm scared now.
So yeah, but thank you for those kind words.
Look for CJ on the upcoming Oki Shosho original sketch that he wrote and is starring in. It's called Gut Punch.
Yeah, that's scary for sure.
Well, yeah, because you're the lead. You are the lead.
I was really nervous about doing, like, I wanted to do it like really badly, but also I was like, gosh, I hope I don't ruin this thing, like, with trying to do this right away or whatever. Like, I think it's only the second thing I've acted in or something like that.
Well, I'm trying to think, because you were in Facebook. You had a little cameo in Facebook, which was really fun. You were Travis the douchebag with your jet ski. And then
I don't even know if I'd count that. That was like me dropping by.
It was a cameo. It was a nice little CJ cameo.
Yeah.
A Lance.
But no, we recorded the other sketch. I'll just say Ding. We recorded Ding the month before this sketch, and but it gave me practice of like being in front of the camera. But part of my character in that sketch was that I had no lines.
Yeah, even better.
It didn't give me
easing you into this world, CJ. Okay, now this time we're gonna give him one line, and then the next one we're gonna give him all the lines, all of them.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see what people think of the one coming out.
I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's gonna be really, really good. It's so weird because we've been in quarantine, so I have literally zero excuse to procrastinate on anything, and I feel like I'm way behind on the edit for that. So,
Boo.
it's coming. It's coming. I just realized today that it's Wednesday, and that I have a new episode for the podcast coming out on Monday. That, dude, I have no sense of time right now. I can't even tell you the last time I showered. Like, I've got my quarantine hair going on right now.
Sexy.
Ugh. It's getting long, man.
So I guess I wanted to ask you some questions too, and that's a
Okay.
good. What was the initial premise of Okie Show? Was it a podcast or was it sketches? Was it both?
So the original concept was that it was going to be a live show in front of an actual audience, and that it was going to be kind of a mix between the Nerdist podcast and the Harmontown podcast, where we were doing comedy bits and we were talking to industry professionals about different aspects of the industry and stuff. And I realized pretty quickly that the notion of having an attractive enough show to have a full audience like every other week was going to be just too much to work with. So
I know Divine Comedy struggles with that a lot. That's like the
plus,
hardest part of Divine Comedy.
And God bless them, like Oklahoma audiences are pretty tough to get to come out to things. Even without a pandemic. It's weird. Now their lives are on the line.
I've always looked at it as like Oklahoma audiences. In Oklahoma, there's not a reason, like you have to have a reason to leave your house. No one's just like, very few people are like, let's just go out tonight or go do this thing. Like if you don't have to drive anywhere, you already drove to work and it was, everything's 10 miles away or something.
Yeah.
It takes 15 minutes to get there, but it's still like far away kind of. And
the weather always sucks balls, so it's like, why would I want to go out and enjoy this awful weather?
Yeah, that as well. But yeah, if there's no foot traffic, so I think that really cuts down on people like, oh, I guess we could check out this place. Like, if they don't know something exists, then there's no way they're going to go to it. And not a lot of people are like just out and about trying tons of new things, especially in the arts, I feel like.
Yeah.
Everyone in Oklahoma is kind of try a new restaurant, but
yeah. Oklahomans are all about eating.
Hey, I'm one of them.
Yeah, I think that's something that's been slowly changing. We'll see after this if we're back to square one. But OKC Improv seems to have pretty packed houses every weekend. And the Divine Comedy shows that I've been to have always had pretty darn good audiences.
Oh, gosh. They're not all like that. Come to a show sometime when the world is back to
when the world is after the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Okie Show kind of started off with that live premise, that idea of it being kind of like a real talk show. And then it turned into a weekly thing where I was interviewing different industry professionals with the intent of like kind of shedding a spotlight on people and industry workers that normally don't get a spotlight. So like those early episodes, and we still that's still a really, really big priority. Like I want to, I like everybody is always, it seems like everyone's always talking to the directors and the actors and stuff like that. But very few people are talking to the grips and to, the sound guys and stuff, those below the line.
To you, no one wants to talk to you, buddy.
No one wants to talk to me. I don't have any friggin' stories. I'm not cool. But so like slowly over time, I had no idea what I was doing. Whenever I first started this thing, I had no idea. I just had this harebrained idea of like, that would be really cool. And that's about as far as the thought process went. So I didn't know anything about like structure or like how to promote it or anything. Like I had to do all that learning in real time. So now that we're on season 4, now that we've been doing this for roughly 5 years, which do the math on that season 1 is like 70 episodes. It's crazy. But
Wow.
now I feel like I've finally kind of got a nice little rhythm, and like I have a nice workflow, and everything's preset now. So like I'll record an interview and I'll just slap it into the template and be like, pop, 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 done. Except
Yeah.
whenever there's a lot of cussing, and then I have to go through and bleep out all the F-bombs.
Yeah, no, I feel like Divine Comedy is the same way in the sense of I was in like a routine of how to book a show, book a month or whatever, run the shows, do it. It was feeling good, and now this is going on, and I'm like, I don't want to do any if I can't just go to a live show, I don't want to do anything at all.
This
But-
sucks. Yeah, how are you guys handling the pandemic? Like, I've been interested about everybody that's in the live entertainment world. Like, how are you dealing with not being able to have
I mean,
a live audience?
as far as our show, it's just I've been trying to put up something like this once a week if I can. This will be the second thing that we put up. Last week was our first thing.
Yeah.
But just trying to do something that's entertaining, engaging, whatever. Some people have done like live stream comedy shows, and I don't know. They're not good.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, if people like this, like if you just didn't talk for 15 minutes and I did comedy,
Yeah.
but there was only you to respond pretty much. I think Zoom could maybe work, like if you've got a big enough group of people to come to a Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
and then one person performed and everyone else could their audio would be feedback. But still, it's not my thing.
Yeah. It sounds really awkward.
Yeah, it for sure is. Which comedy can be really awkward, but
yeah,
it seems extra awkward. But yeah, so some people have been doing that. I've noticed a lot of comedians. We kind of talked about the dumb sketches I've been doing. A lot of people are doing that. Whatever random video they can make, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, like just hear something dumb and goofy. That's how I describe it. I don't think everyone's dumb. I think comedy is dumb and goofy.
I think it needs to be deep and have social impacts.
They for sure can, but also that's not my type of comedy.
That's not my thing. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think a lot of people are trying to follow other creative avenues that relate to comedy, but aren't strictly stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but people in your field, which I guess for people that don't know, you do sound. You're a sound guy, yeah.
Sound guy. Yep. I'm a production sound guy for the film and TV industry, which is a real bummer right now.
Have you gotten any gigs that are like essential businesses needing to make a video or release a statement or whatever?
So I've actually been recording. Luckily, I also do voiceover. I perform voiceover. So I've been getting a lot of voiceover stuff for like sanitation companies and cleaning services, which is, hey, and it's paycheck. Yeah. Which is really funny because like sometimes you'll get your copy and you're reading your copy and like there's sometimes where the brand, they don't give you any pronunciation. So you're trying to turn the stuff around as fast as you can. So like I had this one that was Janiking. So that's Janny King, or it's Janiking. The product is Janiking, but like they didn't give me any pronunciation. So I had to like record 3 or 4 different versions of like Jenny King, Janie King, Janie, just like, guess the pronunciation.
Yeah, that'd be really hard.
As far as like working on set, I have had one job, and that was for the bombing memorial coming up because our 25th anniversary of the bombing memorial is coming up the 17th or something like that.
Sounds about right, yeah.
So it was like 4 or 5 hours a day for 3 days. Like we were talking to like Governor Stitt and Mayor Holt and a couple other people, which is really weird because like these guys are really important right now. They're kind of heavy players. So like no one is allowed remotely near them. Like, they're like sharks in a in the ocean where like all the little fish are spreading to like stay away from him, don't even breathe near him. Wearing bandanas and masks and gloves and hand sanitizing and all that. It's like everything other than a hazmat suit.
So like because you freelance, so normally how do you like hunt down a gig? Is it word of mouth? Is there like a website or?
There's a couple different things that you can do. So, and this goes for if anyone is trying to freelance in the film industry, there's a couple things you need to do. First of all, you need to go to the Oklahoma Film and Music Office website and you need to get on their registry. The next thing you need to do is work for free a lot because this is a 100% word of mouth world. So freelance, 90% of the jobs that I get are through recommendations, and the last 10% are through websites where I'm on a directory that I wouldn't have been able to get on that directory had it not been for a recommendation. So first thing is actually know what you're doing. Don't fake it till you make it. That's the worst advice that you could ever get. Just fake it till you make it. No, fake it until you burn a bridge and never work again. That's how that works. And, I always say be humble, be kind, be hardworking. Those are the three kind of tenets to live by.
And they give an H instead of kind.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. That's all I got.
Humble, hardworking, heroic.
Heroic, yeah. What's something other than kind? It starts with an H. A huss.
Helpful?
Helpful. No, like humility and like actually following through with being hardworking really goes a long way because there's a lot of entitled people don't last very long because it's very survival of the fittest, because entitled people tend to come across as just being lazy douchebags. Those guys don't last very long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the main thing. Like just being friendly to people and, proving that you're actually worth your salt is going to get you more recommendations down the line.
Yeah. So how did you, I've always been curious, and I don't know if you've ever had this talk. Did you start out wanting to do sound or
no?
Fall into
I stumbled into it like, yeah. I originally was just like every other film student on the planet. Like I wanted to act and direct and write and produce and all that kind of stuff. And whenever I graduated from film school, I started getting actual work in the lighting department. I was originally kind of moving in the direction of camera. And then I got a job at a studio where everyone was terrified of sound, but I had played live music, as you can see behind me.
Yeah, you have a very good band, right? You and Lainey.
It's a massive band. It's 2 people, my wife and I.
I said good, very good, fantastic.
But yeah. So like, since I had musical background and I'd recorded in studios and stuff, they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, then you know how to do sound. Cool. You're a sound guy now." I'm like, but I have other things I can offer. And they're like, "No, you're sound." So but the nice thing about that was that the bar of expectations was pretty low. So I was able to fail upwards.
Yeah.
Pretty well. And I did that for about 2 or 3 years. And then I started, I can't remember where I met. Honestly, like O Fidelis, the band O Fidelis, kind of was a good foot in the door of just knowing people. And so from knowing people, they started to find out that I was doing more sound stuff. And so I just kind of stumbled onto working features. And then, now I'm working on different TV series and features that come through and documentaries and all sorts of crazy crap.
Yeah. What is, I don't know, most exciting or most you've enjoyed? What production have you enjoyed most? Do you have one? I know you have crazy stories because you spent like a month or two in like Ethiopia once, and
I did a month in Rwanda for a documentary that
was it Rwanda, not Ethiopia?
Yeah. Well, I stayed overnight in Ethiopia, and that's where I got shot at. So that was fun.
Okay. That's why I know that story. Okay.
Yeah, I had so for the listeners, I did a shoot that lasted for about a month in Kigali, Rwanda. But on the way there, we had an overnight layover in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And I don't know how it is now, but back in 2007, it was rough. So they carted us all to this hotel, and then the driver, he took us down this back alley, and it's like clearly the red light district. Like there's like you seeing people like hookers like hooking up and stuff, and like it's just rough.
Hookers hooking.
Those hookers were hooking. They had a shepherd's hook. That's how they do that, right? And,
yeah.
So we went down apparently the wrong alleyway, and this guy, well, our driver got out and went into the building, and then it's kind of quiet, and it was really weird because I was very hungover because I didn't realize on the flight I drank some whiskey, and I didn't realize that whiskey hits you way harder when you're 80,000 feet up in the air. I'm super hungover, probably still really drunk, and I'm in a van full of all these Congans, and it's just me and all the Congans, and they're already upset because they want to get to their hotel and they want to get to bed. It's late, and the driver busts out of the building and just starts hauling to the van, and this guy just comes out of the hotel and just starts shooting at us. Like, he's got a freaking automatic rifle. I don't think he was trying to actually shoot us. I think he was just trying to scare us off. Because if he was actually trying to shoot us, he would have been the worst shot ever in the history of mankind. Well, we were right there. Yeah. And so me in my hungover drunkenness, I'm like, what is going on? The Congans are freaking out. We're bouncing down this alleyway backwards, and the driver's cussing and freaking out. And like, I'm just kind of trying to maintain. And
so do you think that? Oh, yeah. Is there an intake?
Oh well, that's pretty much, yeah. I mean, like we all lived, so
yeah. Was that the craziest? Do you think that's the craziest interaction you've had in your line of work?
That might be the risks. That might be one of the riskiest that I've done. Like, the documentaries are obviously always way more high risk than features, because features usually have like a union rep who makes sure everyone's safe. But I think there was Tiger King, which was weird the way that we shot it, just because like we didn't have any security and stuff, and like there were guns everywhere, and it seemed like no one knew how to use them properly.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That was a little sketchy. It's the only time I've ever brought a firearm with me to a job.
Yeah, I heard you mention that on the podcast where you talked about Tiger, which everyone should plug that podcast real quick. That was a great episode.
If you haven't watched our little analysis of Tiger King, you should go to Okishosho's YouTube channel, where you'll find this video, and you'll be able to find that other one where we talked to criminal behaviorist Sarah Kalin, and she's awesome. She's awesome. Yeah,
it was super interesting. And I don't know, I think especially now, like, Tiger King's blowing up in our culture and whatnot. Like,
it's weird.
I don't know.
Man. It's weird. Because there comes a point where, like, when you're involved in something and you're a part of something, you know, you always have that feeling of connection to it. And this is the first one that I've ever worked on. I've worked on things that people have seen and stuff. Like, I worked on True Detective, and I worked on, you know, I Can Only Imagine, and a couple other movies that people know. But this one is the first time that it's ever like exploded in this freaking phenomenon.
Yeah.
And like, it's weird how it transitions into, it feels very separate from you. Like, no longer do you feel like you're a part of it. Now it's taken on its own life, and it's a part of the zeitgeist. And like, and it's weird to be able to just enjoy it along with everybody else now. And then having to kind of remind myself that, like, I was actually there and like experienced certain things and touched Joe Exotic.
touched Joe Exotic before you ever did sound for Tiger King, yeah?
Touched him, and he touched me right back. And then he gave me meth and guns. And I was one of his great
husband? Were you married to Joe Exotic?
Can you imagine? You could put that on a resume. Yeah, it says here you were married to Joe Exotic. You're one of his straight husbands. You're hired. or our social media manager.
So you've done some pretty interesting things. What Okie Show? I know, not in my time. I brought Okie Show down, but you guys have
Going way
won
downhill.
you've won some awards and things like that. Yeah.
We have, yeah. We won twice in a row. It's funny. I was actually thinking about this today. Like, I'm not much of a trophy guy, so they just kind of like sit behind stuff. But we did the 48-hour film race, and we won best film project for 2 different years. We had 2015 and then 2017.
Those look like
That's
weapons.
like the douchiest.
Those look like they would be the murder weapon for.
Oh, absolutely.
Like an office murder. Like if someone was just angry one day at their boss, they would pick that up and use it.
And they're freaking heavy too.
So I've never gotten a chance to do 48-hour film festival. How it, for anyone who doesn't know what it is, right? It's just you get a genre, right? And then like a couple other things that you have to write a sketch about, a short film about, and then produce, and turn in within 48 hours, right?
Yeah. So you're like, it's a race. So there's all these different teams within the city that you're competing against. Competing, I say loosely, because really the main point of competition in this one is just to get it done, for the love of God. Yeah. So you have 48 hours to take your prompts, which are a genre, a prop, a line of dialogue, and a character name, and write the story, shoot it, edit it, and finish it within 48 hours. 48 hours seems like a lot. Until you're trying to get a movie shot. So like whenever we did it, like luckily most of the people that we had involved like had actually worked on features and stuff. So like we kind of knew a workflow. It wasn't kind of like, let's just make a movie. Like we actually had a very systematic way of doing it, so that we gave ourselves a page limit. We gave ourselves time limits, take limits, like all these different limits to keep ourselves on track and on time and everything. And, you know, everything was very broken down. And, you know, and when you do that, when you're more organized, the more fun you're allowed to have. You have more freedom. And it was cool, man, because we had a lot of improvised elements in our stuff. And like you've worked on a couple sketches with us now, so you've kind of gotten to see how improv plays into the stuff that we do. And how we're pretty strict, and then we'll loosen up.
How much sleep do you get in those 48 hours?
Okay. So since we schedule everything out from beginning to end, everybody gets pretty much a full night of sleep, because what happens is that we'll shoot like the production team is separate from the post-production team. So we finish shooting something out and then hand it off like a baton. And then the post-production team moves into the night shift to work on it, you know, through the night. And then we can do edits and, you know, adjustments and stuff the next day.
So someone's working on it though, that every hour of the 48 hours pretty much.
Not even that. Like a lot of times we would shoot. So our basic schedule was you get your prompts at 7 p.m., but you can gather your soldiers and get everybody, you know, you can do all the prep work and everything. So you can have your locations locked down, and you can have your game plan together, which is what we did. But you can't write anything until you get your prompts. So you get your prompts about 7 o'clock. We had a writer's team stowed away, ready to start writing. And like even in the writer's room, like that's my favorite part of doing the 48, because like you've seen kind of in our writers' rooms for Okie Show, like I like kind of a back and forth, and like we haven't written a sketch from start to finish in Okie Show's writing sessions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But during the 48, you know, we start out with an outline, Everybody's doing a back and forth, and then we flesh it out with a beat sheet, and then we have a head writer who drafts the whole thing, and then we do revisions and redraft it. And so it's very, we try to use the SNL model as much as we can. But
which is a crazy efficient model, but also
efficient.
Insane.
Yeah. So we would work until we would try to have the script locked by 1 a.m, and then our call time would be 8 a.m. the next day, and we'd shoot until 8 p.m. So that's a solid 12-hour day, and then post-production would take and get an assembly done and have it pretty much ready to go by midnight or 1, and then they'd take the night off, and we'd start back up the next morning at 8 a.m. and work all the way up until it's ready and being sent out, by 6. So we had all that planned out and mapped out prior to even getting prompts and stuff. But it's tricky.
Yeah.
You got to be strict. You got to be strict with yourself. There's no time.
Yeah. There's no fun in Okie show.
That's the really fun that's the cool thing, because whenever we would have our little production meetings at the top of the 48, I was the team leader, so I would kind of give my introduction speech to everybody. And the number one priority for us was always, we are going to have fun, because there's a lot of times where you'll do a 48 and it's so stressful that it's just not fun anymore. And people get burned on it really easy. So for us, it was, we are going to have fun. And if it starts to get not fun, we're going to stop. We're going to take a breath. And then we're going to collect ourselves and start having fun again, because that's where you can have the most creativity. That's going to be your best quality stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I've had lots of fun on every set that I've been on, I think, with Okie Show.
Just wait till you get on a real set, because it's not that way on a real set.
I've been on one other set that I randomly got asked to fill in for someone. It was their senior project or whatever for film school, pretty much. But then also they'd gotten some people to kind of give them some grants, so it got a little bit bigger than just that.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it was it was 7 or maybe 9 page short, so decent size, and they had someone lined up to be a tough guy warehouse security guard, and I guess that person couldn't make it for the day of filming, and so they asked me.
Their first thought was tough guy, CJ.
I was like, do you guys know who I am?
That's the total opposite of the normal, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Are you guys sure I can be tough enough? I don't know. But so I hope I didn't ruin that character and that sketch, that short. But no, it was because it wasn't, no one was getting paid or anything like that, so it was still that level of looseness. No one could be super angry.
Yeah.
But also, it was a full crew of 20-ish plus people. Everyone's running around doing, putting lights up, making sure sound's going on, and some people are getting talked to because they're not doing their job right.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That's the one thing. It's weird because I've gotten so spoiled working on sets where everybody's jobs are delegated that the idea of wearing multiple hats is a huge turnoff to me. So it's really hard for me to wear multiple hats on a set nowadays.
It's really hard for me to. I remember we were doing the Christmas card commercial sketch, and I was just biting my tongue the whole time. I want to say something about oh, I think it'd be funnier if you said it like this, but I was like, I'm not the director. A couple people were like, on a normal set, you really shouldn't be talking to the actors. And I was like, I know.
Yeah. Shame, CJ. But you're also the writer, so it's kind of appropriate.
It's a weird dynamic, I guess, on those. But it's really nice. I don't know that I could walk onto a professional set and fit in or do it right.
You'd probably have the standard, first time look of.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think through Okie Show, like it's still a step up. I was gonna say it's a big step up from anything that I would be doing or would ever think to do production wise. I mean, I think everyone I've shown videos, like the quality is amazing for, I mean, anything that I would ever film is just dumb, whatever, on a phone, no sound is going into like being edited or mixed, no lighting is being worried about, like, as long as you can see what's happening on screen, boom, it's done.
I wonder sometimes if that's partially because like all of us that are involved, like since that's what we do for a job, there's like that emphasis of like, if this looks like crap, then everyone's gonna think that I am like crap.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I've accepted that because there have definitely been times like whenever we were producing things or making, like I'm like, I don't care about that.
Dumb this down. No.
From my perspective, like I don't care. Like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if we can get enough background extras. Or I'm like, I don't care if there's no, like, it can look dumb, but as long as the point gets across, like, it'll be fine.
There's been moments where like we'll be overthinking something, and then I'll just kind of snap out of it and be like, "This is for YouTube. It's fine. This is a YouTube video. Everyone relax."
Isn't it interesting? Like, YouTube, the videos that started on YouTube, like people are still putting out the same crappy quality and dumb content like the whole time, but it's still like it holds up in a way,
Oh yeah. Well, it's I don't know why that is. I just know that it is that way, of like people stepped, like when you're watching Netflix or you go to the theater, you have an expectation. And like with YouTube, since it started off looking like crap, that expectation has always been there.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. No one said it had to look good. As long as it's just funny, it can go viral. It can be shown on every news station, on Ellen, on whatever, and then they'll interview the person. Like literally anything can happen on YouTube.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I wonder, I'm baffled by like the algorithms and stuff of like what do people do that gets them 1 million views? And like luckily for us, that's not really the top priority, is to get a bazillion views. Like obviously we want people to see what we make, but that's not the top priority because I'm sure we've talked about it in the writer's room multiple times of like, we're not getting rich and famous off this. Let's just let that dream die. It's technical practice, and it's a route for us to hone our skills and just get better.
Well, but my skill is writing. I want to get rich and famous off of writing. That'd be amazing.
No, you will not get rich and famous. Not if I have anything to say about it.
Oh no!
You will not find success.
Gonna hold me back.
Yeah, hold me back, bro. Yeah, to me, it's like if that happens, that's cool. Like that's the big thing for me is like I want everybody involved to find success and to use this as a stepping stone. So we've had a couple people that have been involved in Okie Show sketches that have moved on to bigger and better things, and that is absolutely the priority for anybody who donates their time. Like I want this to just be a stepping stone.
Yeah,
I don't want people to rely on it to get
for sure. I would agree. I get what you're saying, and I would think Okie Show is like a really good stepping stone because it is that it's gonna make things that are a certain quality, that it's gonna look good, it's gonna sound good, it's going to be good, and so it is something that you could hand in as like, an actor or whatever, like here is a reel of me on this production.
Yep.
Rather than no one's gonna want to act in the sketches I'm doing because they're just dumb and poorly put together.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really big deal for us. Like that, that's definitely one of the priorities or like one of the reasons why we try to make it as high quality as we do, because like I've cut reels for a lot of the actors that have done work for us. Like I've cut their scenes and helped them put it together because I want them to be able to use that. And people have gotten jobs off of, you know, some of these sketches. Like, I mean, Nicholas Szabo used X-Men JV Squad to get a job. So
nice.
And like,
even I didn't know that. He is a writer, and I
right? Yeah. And it's cool because it kind of gives a calling card. You know, in this world, everybody says that they can do stuff. And, you know, that's one of the best ways to kind of separate yourself from all the people that say they can do something, is to be able to show, well, I actually did something and here's what we did. And, you know, so it's been really cool to see everything growing and then this pandemic happening and everything screeching halt.
Yeah, I've got like, I don't know, 30, 40 shirts or something. I don't even have that many.
Hey,
bunch
man.
Of stickers, just merch that is not gonna, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Not making any money.
Well, you know what? When the shit hits the fan and you guys are running out of, you know, firewood or clothing or food,
yeah, right.
Shirts are edible, right?
I don't know.
You know what? Beggars can't be choosers, CJ. Eat the shirt.
I have some very fat animals. I would eat them.
But once the dogs are done, then you're gonna have to.
I got cats.
And then after the cats are gone, I mean, after Marla's gone, then you're gonna have to eat the shirts.
I'll eat shirts then, for sure.
Well, or you'll have to watch your back. Marla,
I would be the prime eating. I'm bigger.
Marla's got those shifty eyes. Wouldn't trust her.
Well, buddy, where can people find you or Okie Show or both on the interwebs?
So you can find Okie Show at www.okieshowshow.com, and then we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Okie Show. And if you watch any of our stuff and you like it and you want to get involved and help us make more, you can go to patreon.com/Okie Show and be a patron, and we'll love you forever. And you'll get special behind the scenes stuff and
do that
and all that. And you, CJ, where can we find you?
So go follow Divine Comedy. It's at Divine Comedy OKC on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can follow me personally at CJ Lance Comedy on YouTube or Instagram. I have Twitter and Facebook. They're not worth plugging.
Birds are bad. Is that you on Instagram?
But yeah, also go whenever the world is back. Go check out a show at the Speakeasy, and if you have time or a few dollars or both, go to Venmo at the Speak and leave a tip for them, because we would love to have a Speakeasy to go do shows at. They've been super. Honestly, they've been having comedy for over 10 years regularly at the Speakeasy. They've been a pretty groundlings. I mean, comedy's been happening in Oklahoma City longer than that, but it took a pretty hard dive after like Jokers and whatnot downtown.
Jokers, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Dang.
But the Speakeasy's been super supportive of, I mean, everything local, but especially comedy. So yeah, go help them out. Give them a hand.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, tip your bartender.
Yeah.
Host things.
Yeah, find local restaurants and businesses to support. Don't go to Walmart. Don't go to Walmart. Go to Elsie's Foods or something.
Yeah.
Don't go to Starbucks. Go to the underground.
All right, man. Brian.
Well,
all right, buddy.
Good to hang out with you. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening / watching. I'm glad we could actually watch this time because I am slowly mastering this live stream thing. And
look at you go.
Look at me. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
See you, bud.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, now how do I turn this crap off?
Spooky show.